how do we get, an implied version of texture in Illustrator? Well, one way we do that is through masking, right? We've already worked with masking a little bit. For example, there's, a simple word, wood. It has a wood texture to it. And it's really kind of a simple process. We're going to make some clipping masks, okay? So what I want to do is walk you through the process of making a clipping mask real quick. So I'm going to go down and find a spot, and I need to make sure that I'm on an empty layer so I'm not messing something up here. Okay, so now that I have my empty layer and I'm out here, I'm going to type something. Let's just type ash. Now, I purposely made it bigger than my text box, and it's really hard for you to see it from your seat, I know. But down here in the bottom corner of your text box, or my text box, you'll see it's a little red square with a plus. What that means is that you have more text inside of the box than the box can show. So you need to do a couple of things. Either one, the simplest thing, obviously, would be to make your text box a little bit bigger so that you get it all. Or if you're laying out a magazine or any of that kind of thing, then you may have to create another text box, and then you'll click on that and get the overflow text and put it in. Is really all that boils down to. But if you're copying and pasting in large pieces of text, paragraphs or something like that for a spread, and you see that little box, you're going to want to make sure that you expand or get that out of there, and show it, because if not, then it won't. You won't see it. All right. So now I have my text. I got to do a couple of things with it in order to actually manipulate or to use it. All right. Because right now it's just a solid piece of text. The first thing that I have to do, and I always just control click or I right click, and I'm going to go down to where it says create outlines. It's about midway on that panel. So now what that does is you'll get a little highlight that goes around each of the letters. Now, depending upon what we're doing, I can do a couple of different things right now. Let's say, for example, I want to really mess with this text. I want to kind of, change each letter, manipulate it, kind of make it my own. If I go up to Object, Expand, Object, Ungroup, now what I've done is I've unlocked each of the letters as individual letters. So I can come in here now, and if I wanted to, I could grab my pen tool. I could mess with the actual anchors themselves, right, really quick. If I want, I can grab my add anchor, and I can add anchors around each of the letters if I wanted to. And then again, I could come in here, click on that anchor, and I can kind of start to play with the letter itself. Right? So I can really start to play around with each individualized letter to kind of create my own style, my own font, or any of that. So that's the first thing about text, right? Especially in Illustrator. So you can go through and you can create your own type of font to match what you're working on. So like for that, so I wrote out my name, right? And then so on this first one here, maybe I start playing around with this a little bit more, and I almost make the O look like it has a beard. And then I could put a little face in there. Maybe, I'm a barber or something like that, and I'm working on a logo. So now I can manipulate that one letter to kind of look like something that appeals to my demographic or to my profession. All right? Does that make sense? So you go Object, Expand, Object, Ungroup. And that'll ungroup each of those. Okay. I'm going to take that away, though. Now, let's work on a clipping mask. Same principle. I type out my word. I click on it, or I right-click on it, create outlines. Now what I need to do is go up to go to Object and Compound Path, Make. So I went Object, Compound Path, Make. And what that does is it makes a compound path around the outside of your text itself and deletes that inner fill, which is going to allow me to create this mask this clipping mask that I want. All right. I'm going to go back to my layers because I want to see where I'm at with this. Now, I have it on layer 6 here, and you can see this is my compound path that I have right here. I'm going to add another sub layer to this one just so I have it, right? Because I don't necessarily have to do it this way, but I like to have sub layers and keep things kind of organized. I could just be right on the same layer if I wanted to and you know, write it on there. But for all intents and purposes, I'm going to do it this way. And I lost my, there we go, I'm back, okay. All right, so now what I need to do is I need to get a picture, and I'm just gonna go File, and I'm gonna go Place, and I'm gonna grab the first thing that pops up here. Here's a little miniature, I think, of a town with an ambulance. All right, so now when I go back to my layers, I should be able to see my picture and my text. I wanna make sure at this point that my compound path is on top of my picture, because that's where I'm going to get my clipping mask. It's going to clip whatever's on top to whatever's on bottom. Once I've done that, I want to make sure that they're both activated or both highlighted, right? So I have my compound path highlighted, I have my picture highlighted. Once I have those both there and I go Object, Clipping Mask, Make, what I get then is the picture that was behind becomes, you know, it shows through the text itself. So I've made a clipping mask. Right? And that's how I got that wood texture to look like wood in there, because it is a picture of wood. Does that make sense? All right. I'm going to come around and you know, help whoever needs some help. If you need help, raise your hand and I'll be right around. Okay. Okay, any questions at all? Anyone else? Yep. The other cool thing then, once you've created your mask text, if you use your direct selection instead of just your selection tool, you can actually click on the image behind and you can move it around in order to get the precise kind of look that you're hoping for. You know, for example, like if you did, you know, like if you were creating some kind of travel thing and you had the word sunset and you had a picture of a beach and everything, you can move it around to get exactly what you're looking to do, okay?